Have you heard about the gold?
No, what about the gold?
It's one thing to counterfeit a $20 or $100 bill. The amount of financial damage is usually limited to a specific region and only affects dozens of people and thousands of dollars. Secret Service agents quickly notify the banks on how to recognize these phony bills, and retail outlets usually have procedures in place such as special pens to test the paper to stop their proliferation.
How is this related to gold?
The most trustworthy of all commodities is gold, and gold has been the most reliable asset on the free market until the Chinese found out that the US Treasury lost its gold and was scamming the world long time.
What did the Chinese discover?
In October of 2009, the Chinese received a shipment of gold. Since gold is regularly exchanged between countries as a form of debt paying and to settle the trade balance, the Chinese asked London Bullion Market Association to perform special tests to test the quality of the gold. Officials were shocked to learn that the bars were fake. They contain cores of tungsten with only an outer coating of real gold. What's more, these gold bars, containing serial numbers for tracking, originated in the US and had been stored in Fort Knox for years. There were reportedly between 5,600 to 5,700 bars, weighing 400 ounces each, in the shipment.
How long has this been going on?
Roughly 15 years. Between 1.3 and 1.5 million 400 Oz tungsten blanks were allegedly manufactured by a very high-end, sophisticated refiner in the USA, more than 16,000 metric tons. Subsequently, 640,000 of these tungsten blanks received their gold plating and were shipped to Fort Knox and remained there to this day. According to the Chinese investigation, the balance of this 1.3 million to 1.5 million 400 Oz tungsten cash was also gold-plated and then allegedly sold into the international market. Apparently, the global market is literally stuffed full of 400 Oz salty bars. Perhaps as much as $600 billion worth.
Who is responsible for this?
Stuart Smith, Senior Vice President of Operations at the New York Mercantile Exchange. The New York Mercantile Exchange is exactly where you would go to find the record's serial number and smelter of origin for every gold bar ever physically settled on the exchange. They are required to keep these records. These precise records would show the lineage of all the physical gold settled on the exchange and hence prove that the amount of gold in question could not have possibly come from the US mining operations, because the amounts in question coming from US smelters would undoubtedly be vastly bigger than domestic mine production. No one knows whatever happened to Stuart Smith. After his offices were raided, he took administrative leave from the New York Mercantile Exchange and he has never been heard from since.
This sounds like those conspiracy theories you said the Federal Reserve Bank was behind, and Dr. Edward Flaherty debunked these ridiculous theories.
Friend, that article, nor you, have debunked anything here. We have had many how attempted to convince us all that the Federal Reserve Bank is a legal entity. Not one has succeeded. The evidence is more than clear, and the criminal acts are public knowledge. I see that you are new here, so I will educate instead of tearing down. First of all, one of your first posts asked this question: can somebody explain the Federal Reserve to me? The question tells me that you do not know anything about the Fed, and now you mean to debunk the ones who say it is privately owned and criminal in action?
The Federal Reserve Bank remains a legitimate organization, and everyone who listens to Ron Paul is an Alex Jones loving nut, or follows one of those two Tea Parties, who are two respective reactionary organizations with endless of slogans, a fake witch, and no solutions.
These people are just the loud minority who make up a smaller fraction of the larger Ron Paul demographic of honest, hard-working Americans with high levels of both intelligence and moral.
You still have not explained how the fake gold bars entered Fort Knox.
The Gold Antitrust Action Committee, or GATA, is an organization which has been nipping at the heels of the US Treasury Federal Reserve for several years now. The basis of Gut's accusations is that these institutions, in coordination with other complicit central banks and the large gold trading investment banks in the US, have been manipulating the price of gold for decades.
What does this have to do with it?
Interestingly, Gut's Bill Murphy speculated about this back in 2004. He said, quote, "Why is Rothschild leaving the gold business at this time? My colleagues and I conjectured today. Just a guess on my part, but I suspect something is amiss. They know a big scandal is coming and they don't want to be a part of it. Rothschild wants out before the proverbial S hits the fan." Unquote. The GLD of these bars are all legitimate.
What is the G.L.D?
GLD is a short form for Good London Delivery. The London Bullion Market Association (LMA) has defined good delivery as a delivery from an entity which is listed on their delivery list or meets the standards for said list and whose bars have passed testing requirements established by the association and updated from time to time. The bars have to be pure for owing an area of 995.0 to 999.9 to 1000. Weight, shape, appearance, marks and weight stamps are regulated as follows. Weight, minimum 355 ounces O, maximum 435 ounces O. Gross weight of the bar is expressed in troy ounces, in multiples of 0.025, rounded down to the nearest 0.025 of a troy ounce. Dimensions. The recommended dimensions for a good delivery gold bar are: top surface, 255 x 81 mm, bottom surface, 236 x 57 mm, thickness, 37 mm, fineness, the minimum 995.0 parts per thousand fine gold. Marks, serial number, assay stamp of refiner, fineness, the 4 significant figures, year of manufacture expressed in 4 digits. The scammers used the GLD to put these bars in Fort Knox.
Why doesn't anyone audit the American bullion reserves?
Ron Paul wants to audit the mythical Fort Knox gold reserves, which is the stuff of legends, but the Treasury Department issued its own audit in 1975. However, they only agreed to audit 20% of the gold. This was supposedly done over a 30-day period that began the day after the tour. The results of this audit were released in February of 1975. Mr. Deal was less than impressed with the whole thing. It was certainly not what he had wanted when he brought up the subject with Attorney General Sachs the previous August. He felt, with justification, that he along with everyone else had been bamboozled. Since then the government did not issue a reliable audit since.
So the American Department of Treasury is unreliable.
That's why I support Ron Paul.
Piss off Tea Party Alex Jones nut.
Shut the coitus up and get the coitus out. I mean goodbye.